and I wanted to take this moment to introduce the book. So this is the star edition of the book, the Donegal 90 Challenge, and the reason that it's 90 is because there are 90 towns and villages in County Donegal, and the challenge is to visit all 90 of them. Okay, so here we are in front of Corcreggan Mill, and this mill house was a corn mill that was originally built in 1789, and it's now a bed and breakfast or glamping, so you can stay here. And on the side there, under the carriage house, that was for the Donegal Railway here. It was the Burtonport and Letterkenny and Burtonport Extension Railway, and it went by here. So this was a railway station near here, and then also the mill. So it's been refurbished now, and it's a glamping situation now, so you can actually stay here. It overlooks New Lake that way. It's really close to Dunfanaghy, so we're just outside of Dunfanaghy. It's still considered Dunfanaghy. Okay, so here we are in Dunfanaghy in front of the gallery. Now the gallery used to be a hospital and infirmary, and so the infirmary here was built in 1845. Now it's a gallery now with a gift shop and artwork and such, but right now it's closed because we're at the off season. This is November, but later on during the tour season and stuff, it's open most days, and it's worth a stop here. Most people drive by and go to the workhouse, but this is right next door to the workhouse. It's conveniently located, so that's worth it to come over here and see what's inside, and that they restored the infirmary so that it's not a ruin now. So it's very nice. So here we are in front of the workhouse. Now, this is like what you call the Pier house or the workhouse on It was built in 1841 to 1850, opened in 1843, and so that was right in the Great Hunger. So a lot of people were destitute, and the philosophy was at the time that, like, even if it was no fault of your own, you're actually a good worker and such. If you didn't have the means to support yourself and you're evicted or whatever it was, then, which there was a lot of landowner evictions at the same time, then you had no place to go except maybe to the workhouses. The workhouses were created and supported by the landowners who did the evictions in the first place. So, you know, there's that. But anyway, so if you're poor and destitute and you didn't have anywhere else to go, you'd end up here. And the philosophy at the time was no work, no food, no work, you know, and so you had to work incredibly long hours to build stone fences or work on the roads or whatever they could come up with. And then you'd come here and get your one meal and you'd sleep on the floor. And so right here is one of the famine pots that they cook the food in. So what I found out is there's a spout down here, so they just cook it and they keep it going, you know. I guess they keep it going 9 days or however long, you know. Peas parts hot, peas parts cold, parts in the pot 9 days old, you know, whatever it was. And one of the things that I found out when we did our tour of Sassana, when we were in Cumbria in the Lake District there, we found out that the Quakers were the ones that donated a lot of these famine pots. So they actually made it to their intended destination. So even if some of the other aid didn't make it all the way to support the Great Hunger and help people, at least the famine pots did. I guess because the landowners go like, hey, we could use that, you know, I don't know. So, but it's really nice of the Quakers to do that. So now this workhouse is a museum and it's a gift shop, and it was refurbished and dedicated by President Mary Robinson in 1995. So it's been a really great tourist attraction since then, and it's worth it to go inside and tour the museum. It's a self tour with little places that will tell you about the different things and some recorded stuff and everything. And one of the stories that are here is about wee Hannah Harrigan. Wee Hannah is one of the survivors of the workhouses, and she was managed to survive through and became friends with Mary Law over at Marble Hill over there. And so she is a whole other story. I'm going to do a video on it anyway. But anyway, so they built her house over there in Marble Hill, which survived until recently. And then she's buried over here at the Famine Graveyard. And so you can actually go see wee Hannah's grave up there. And we'll go up there a little bit later today and look at it. But anyway, so like I said, this is a museum, a gift shop, and a coffee shop. So you can get some wee snacks here too, it's worth it. And we're right at the entrance to Hornhead and Dunfanaghy right here. So here we are at the Garda Station in Dunfanaghy, Now, the Garda Station used to be an RIC barracks. It was built in 1871, and then it was used for the RIC. And then in 1925, it was turned over to the Gardaí. So then it became a Station Garda Station building then. And we're right here at the turn off from Dunfanaghy, going toward Corcreggan, which is Hornhead. So we'll tell you more about that in a little bit. Hiya, so here we are in front of the Holy Trinity Church of Ireland Chapel. And I'm thinking it was built in 1898, but I'm not sure. I'll put it in the description there. But we're right across from the Garda Station, and we're just up from the town centre. And this is the road going to Corcreggan. So there we are. Well, we're done looking around. So this is the Holy Cross Roman Catholic Church, and it was built in 1898. And if you ever wonder why, all the Catholic churches that are, like this, you wonder why are they all built in the 1800s? Why isn't there something older? Everything that's older is in ruins. And the reason is because of the penal laws that the Saxony had put over Ireland. And so that it was illegal to practice the Roman Catholic faith in Ireland. So what they did is they had mass racks, and they meet in secret locations and have mass there because it wasn't legal to build a church. And they had torn down all the churches that were before the 1800s when they revised the law and repealed that. And then, of course, when Ireland became a country, we got our independence, then you had the Free State, and then you could build all kinds of churches. So there you go. So most of them were built after that penal law was repealed in the late 1800s. Hiya. So here we are in the centre of Dunfanaghy at the Market House building, and in the middle of the square, the diamond here. And this particular building was built by Alex Stewart in 1845, and he's Alex Stewart of Ard's House, the Ard's Moorhouse, where the Ard's Friary is now, near Marble Hill. And so they built this as a market house because the harbour here that was coming in, and also they used it as a courthouse. So the other marker here was put up about Patrick Pierce, who defended a case against a Gaelic here, a Gaelic speaker here, and Dunfanaghy was actually from Famine, and he had his name written on his cart as Gaelic, because everyone here, when the Gaeltacht at the time, spoke Gaelic, and Famine is the Gaeltacht too. And so the law was that it had to be legible. So his wasn't legible to the Saxony, that the English couldn't read it, so they weren't legible, even though it was legible to everyone else in his own town, And anyway, I'm going to do a whole other video on that. But anyway, so the case itself wasn't actually defended here by Patrick. Patrick Pierce. So the case that he defended was actually in Dublin. But a prior case where Niall McGillivray, the farmer that was selling his goods here at the market day that day, he got a citation, and then he didn't pay it. And then Clondahorky said that they were going to help him defend it and make a big deal out of it. And so when they made a big deal about it, that's how Patrick Pierce got involved with it. So anyway, I'll do a whole other video on that, but if you want to look it up, it's Neil McBride or Niall McGillivray as his name. And that's the case that marker's talking about. And the original case was heard here in the courthouse upstairs. So there you go. Hiya, so here we are on the N56 in Dunfanaghy, and behind me here is Patsy Dance. So it's a real famous pub there that's a good crack in the afternoons and evenings, and when they have the jazz festival, it's really grand too. And then right over here is on Christian, and This is a great cafe. Usually they're open for breakfast and lunch and such, and it's very good food. And they also have some posters in there for sale. And then over here is Molly's. Molly's is good. They have some billiards and some things like that. And then they also have some good drafts there and pub, such, and a beer garden in the back. Hi, so here we are on Dunfanaghy Pier, and behind me is the market house that used to be open on the bottom level, so they could bring the grain in and then load it on the boats, and the fish could come off the boats and such like that. And then upstairs was, of course, where that case was tried or heard about Niall McGillivray. So right here is the boathouse. They're refurbishing it now, so maybe when you come, it'll be all finished, and who knows what it'll be there. And behind that is Ramsay's Bar, or pub, and that used to be a store where people from the local community would bring things to sell, and they'd sell things there. And then going out here at low tide right now is great for mudlarking, and we found some really cool things in the mud here along the pier and such. And then going over that way is Hornhead, so we're looking across the water to Hornhead, or the sand, Corcreggan Mill. And then looking out that way is Killahooey Beach, and you can see Sheephaven Bay out that way, and Ardsmoor, so loads of Ards Peninsula there. And then right here, little does anybody know, but right here, this big pile of rocks here used to be the actual dune from Dunfanaghy. And of course, Dunfanaghy means the fort of the white fields, so this was where the fort was. And a lot of people don't realize that. So it's an unidentified castle in the Middle Ages that's in ruins, and before that it was a fort, so maybe a ring fort or something. So we don't know, but it had a good commanding area here of all the water coming in. And you're looking at all this sand now, and it used to be ships could come in right here, and they built the pier, and we'll go around the other way and show where the pier is. But this land here was reclaimed from the ocean, or from the bay, and then in 1914, they were overcutting the marram grass on the sand dunes over there between Tamor and Hornhead and over that way to Killahooey. And so by cutting that, the marram grass, then it shifted the sand, because that's what held the sand in together. So in 1917, a big storm came and shifted the sand in, so it silted up this whole harbour. And so now the ships couldn't come in anymore, so it ruined the fishing industry. And also, it built New Lake. So New Lake was formed, and then all of that land between Killahooey and Corcreggan, Hornhead there, it became land. So Hornhead, wasn't 400 years ago. Hornhead was an island, and now it's not. It's peninsula. So there you go. Hi, so here we are in front of the Oyster Bar and Lizzie's. So if you look down this way, there used to be McAuliffe's there. That used to be the best gift store, number 33. But recently, your one that owned it decided to retire, and there wasn't any family members to take over the store. And so right now it's closed, but I think it may become a B&B or some kind of lodging. And that means that you have to go a little bit further to get any really cool gifts. But there's other smaller gift stores in the area, so that's not a big issue. But that was a really nice, convenient one there. And the Oyster Bar is open, live music, they're pretty big. And then Lizzie's, if you want a quick bite, they have really good omelets and good things for breakfast. So make sure you book ahead of time. Cockles and mussels alive. So you can see at low tide here in the bay that you can get really good cockles and mussels here if you know where to dig out there. And our friend Charlie came back with a whole basket full one Sunday afternoon after low tide and something over there. But anyway, so here we are at the anchor, and this here park was kind of built, that's where the pier was there. And so ships could sail in here over to the pier there and along here. and dock before it was all silted up. And so behind me is Arnold's Hotel, and it celebrated its 100-year anniversary last year, so it's 101 years old, and so it's a really nice place. And the history here is rather cool because it goes back 9,000 years. The currahs that were built here in Dunfanaghy, they trace their origins back 9,000 years, and so they're named after Dunfanaghy here. And so sometimes you can still see them. I think I've seen them around. Even on New Lake, you have some wee small ones there. And then in 1696, Captain Henry Every was a pirate, and he had captured 12 ships as a pirate, and the Sassani put a £500 reward on his head, and so he was being chased all over. He had smashed ships and millions of and gold and silver and jewels and all the things that he had captured over the years. And anyway, so £500 was something like $100,000 or more. I don't know what it is, or 100,000 euros. Anyway, today's money. And so anyway, he sailed into Sheephaven, and he sailed up here to Dunfanaghy, and he paid the customs officer at the pier, kind of like Captain Jack Sparrow in a way. And so he took off on the road going down that way to Chrysler, and never was seen again. So either he got away, disappeared, become somebody else, or was ambushed. So who knows? But anyway, that's the story. So another Dunfanaghy story there. Okay, so here we are in front of the Presbyterian church, and it's a really nice stone structure. And what's really fun is if you come here during the springtime, there's in these pine trees, there's a whole slew of crow's nests, and so you're basically in a rookery. And so this is pretty funny, or maybe they're ravens. I'm not really sure. I don't know they got them that close, but anyway, yeah. So if you come this way, be careful that you don't get bombed. Right, so we're still here at the Presbyterian Church, and we've come up the hill a wee bit. And this was built in 1878, overlooking the harbour, Dunfanaghy Harbour, and looking out towards Sheephaven Bay. And so what's really cool is a lot of people don't realise it, but right over here is the old watchtower. And so there's a wee another secret hidden Donegal here. So there you are. This is the Clondahorky church. It was built in 1550 originally, and then in 1610 they built what we can see the remains of now. And I'll show you this over here. By the way, this is in the townland of Kill, which probably this church is what it's named after. This particular marker here is to William. Hi, so here we are at the Pauper's Graveyard that was built in 1760, or established in 1760, and we're just down this road here from the Clondahorky church that we just showed you there. So if you come in here, you can see that's the marker that they made. I was talking about on Gortamore, but actually they built it earlier than that. And so these wee markers, you can't hardly see them in the grass, but there's the metal ones there, and there's a stone one there. And if you just didn't have the money to be buried from the workhouse or something, they bring you up here. And that's where you end up. Ready? Alright, so here we are in the graveyard, just down the road from the Pauper's Graveyard there. And so come over here. It took me a minute to find it, but you see we're over Dunfanaghy here and the townland of Kill. And right here is wee Hannah's grave. So you can see the Hannah egg near Haggerty. So we're just outside the wee graveyard there where wee Hannah's buried. And so here's a stone that the priest used to take the death offerings from. And she'd take the death offerings. And actually, where we are here on the hill is actually an old passage tomb. And so it's a megalithic tomb. So this is actually a megalithic site. And of course, that's usually the case where they would build the churches, is on the sites, the ancient sites, so that they would kind of take it over, whatever. So anyway, this is just outside of Dunfanaghy, above Dunfanaghy here, overlooking Sheephaven Bay and across the way to Hornhead.